Hi, and welcome to Key Technology. Today we're going to be showing you a few things about the new VitiSort, and we're going to start with showing you the basics of a camera alignment. I have removed the main camera mount that's bolted to the top part of the VeriSim enclosure, and so we'll be going through a few things here out of the enclosure so it's easier to see. The camera itself is bolted to the main frame with just two Allen screws, so I'm going to take these off real quick. The main camera mount itself has several movements on it. The base can slide forwards, backwards. The upright portion can slide left and right. The camera mount itself can slide up and down on this plate. And then you have two more adjustments. One is with the thumb wheel. You can change the angle of the camera, and then the last one is the plate that the camera is actually mounted to can be rotated, and all of these are fairly easy to set. I'm going to show you a basic starting point that'll help you get most of the alignments almost in the right place as they are installed in a VitiSort. So if you notice, the plate is almost in the midpoint of the travel front to back. So that screw is the midpoint of its slot. If you did need to make some adjustments, you would loosen this screw and the one in the back, and with the screwdriver you just give it a little bit of a twist and it moves the plate front to back. Also note that this side plate is almost centered on the plate as well. So a quick basic start is to center the plate front to back, center the plate side to side, and then you'll notice that the camera mount is slid all the way towards the base. So the camera is all the way up to the highest position when it's installed in the VitiSort. And that's a good starting point for the camera in the unit. Now let's walk over to the enclosure and I'll show you one more dimension to set the initial startup. So we're going to take a look at a camera that's actually installed in a VitiSort, and all of the positions of this camera on its base on the mount are just like what we just talked about. It does have the brace installed, and I'll show you that in a minute. But one other quick adjustment is to measure from the back wall of the enclosure to this front surface of the camera, and you can see it's about 10.5 inches or 270 millimeters. Gets the camera in roughly the correct position to begin doing the alignments. And to set the position, you just slide the whole mount on the studs that are welded to the top of the enclosure. One of the last adjustments you're going to make is setting this camera support brace. And what it's designed to do is triangulate and give a little bit of support down at the bottom of this camera, especially when the shaker is running. And all you want is just a little bit of pressure at this point on the camera face. So this is one of the last things you'll set after doing all the camera alignment. And what you do is you just with a little bit of pressure slide this forward and put a little bit of pressure here. Not a whole lot, it doesn't take much, just to push on that point there, and then we want to tighten up the fasteners in place. Now what that's going to do, you've gone through all the work of aligning it, Now you've just pushed on the camera plate. It will push the camera off alignment just a little bit, but the turnbuckle here is all it takes to bring it right back down in line. And that concludes the camera alignment. Now we'll go to the UI to finish the other two calibrations. Okay, so now we're going to go over a brief introduction of the user interface, especially as it relates to the camera alignment. So on the user interface, you have a tools button which looks like a little screwdriver. It might come up with one of the other pages, but just touch the menu and you get three menu choices. The first one is camera or scope mode, calibrating lights, and then lane. So we'll spend our time right now on the scope mode, and this is actually seeing video from the camera. When you first start up a system, the gains for the camera won't have been set yet. So setting in some default gains is one way of doing it, or you can install the Learn Light or the light calibration target into the system and have the camera at least get the gain set somewhat correct so that then you can do the following procedures. So we're going to grab the alignment target. This is the target that we are going to spend most of our time looking at because, again, we want to make sure the camera is perfectly aligned to this black line. We have several details in this target that when you see it on the scope mode, you're going to be able to recognize. Black is down here, white is up here. So as the video is shown on the black line, you'll see a black line here. The little indentation for white will be a spike that comes up. Those will be features that you're going to see on the screen in just a little bit. The way that Target installs is there are two notches in the base of this alignment target, and they line up with pins that are on the ejector manifold, little shoulder bolts that will guide and set the alignment target in position. So I'm going to slide this in, install it onto those little guides. It sets right down in there, and it is positively locked side to side, and the position is kept right where it needs to be by this stop on the enclosure. So then, looking at the user interface, here's some of the feature that we talked about. Black is down here. You see some reflection because the tape has a little bit of a sheen to it, but black goes across the bottom and white is up here, so you can see the features for each of those little white stripes. So we're going to go through a little bit of the impact some of those alignment adjustments on that camera base have on this screen. The first one, which is probably 90% of what people have to adjust, is the little thumb wheel on the back of the camera. So I'm just going to adjust that, and what I'm doing is I'm changing the tilt of the camera. I'm going to move that front and back, and then you'll watch the video and you'll see what impact it's having on the screen. So it goes off the line a little bit. Now I'm going to go back the other way. It comes back on the line, and then I'm going to continue going the other way, and you can see that now this side is starting to go off the line. So what I'm doing is I'm moving the camera in a single plane, but I'm tilting it towards the line of sight that the camera is looking at. And there you got it pretty much completely off the line, and you see we're seeing all white except for a couple of very dark black stripes there. Bring it back down into alignment. So then one of the next steps is if you want to adjust the focus, just zoom in so that you can see one of the features, one of the transitions from black to white, and then just rotate the focus ring on the front of the camera, and what you're looking for is the steepest transition. So you're wanting the most vertical transitions from black to white, and we're looking for the steepest transition, vertical transition. So as I change the focus, you can see these changing a little bit. And now the black detail has now gone to gray. So we want to get right in the middle, in the steepest part of this lens, get the focus set right. And then you can zoom out, and you can usually adjusting the lens a little bit moves the camera just a little bit off the line of sight. So there you have a good focus for all the little transitions. We can also see the transition on the far left and on the far right, and that's important for the final step of the alignment, which is to learn the lanes, which calibrates the 128 valves to the actual camera position. So we're going to now take the alignment target out. Install the Learn Lanes target, which looks very simple. Bunch of black and white transitions. It installs in exactly the same position. Okay, and now you see the screen, bunch of black down here and white with transitions all the way across. So the tool we want to use is the last one, which is the Learn Lanes. And we just push the button. It'll look at all those transitions and calculate where each valve lies in that camera position. And here we have 4 pixels left over off to the left, and we have about 8 pixels left on the right side of it. Now, these numbers aren't terribly important, but what you want is you want to have a little bit of room left over, not 1 pixel here and 1 pixel here, because then just very little misalignment of the camera or vibration is going to take it out of its field of view and not be able to learn lanes. So that was a simple adjustment of the lanes. The last step, now that we have alignment, we have focus, and we have the lanes, is to calibrate the light. And the light is calibrated by looking at this dark gray Formica strip. You want to keep it fairly clean. If it gets scratched or dented or chipped, then the camera is going to be correcting to things that are on the target instead of light variations in the inspection zone. So again, it installs in the same manner. And we go to the second icon, which is the little light bulb, and we learn lanes. Now, we have some camera settings that we need to pay attention to. 100 for the red, 120 for the green, and 195 for the blue channel. Those are defaults that come in when you load this red grape recipe in the red wine grape keyware. So we'll just press the button. It's looking at that light all the way across from left to right. It's calculating what the correct gains should be for achieving a smooth, consistent look on the background all the way across. You see how this was your raw video. It's darker, it's got some darker stripes, so the camera saw those and needed to correct the values from left to right to get a nice smooth transition. Once you have all the calibration done, you can go to any of these buttons up at the top that offer this left-hand pane, and you can grab a quick image of it. You should see a nice consistent looking blue background here. Okay, that concludes the brief demonstration on aligning the camera for the VitiSort system. We'll continue with other aspects of the VitiSort in other short video clips coming soon.